Hey, beautiful people. Today, we're going to be talking about handmade business models. Should you be doing custom orders for your business or should you be doing ready made orders? Let's get into it. By the way, click like and click share so that your handmade business friends can come on into this live and see what it is that I'm saying. So, I've been making bags since 2014. And I wanted to tell you this because it's really important for you to know what my credentials are. Okay. I have been running a handmade business where I make and sell bags, and I have gone through the burnout phase several times. And there's so much that I've learned on the journey that I know can benefit you guys. And so I want to share this with you today. If you run a handmade business and you're stuck between custom orders and ready-made inventory, this video is for you. I'm going to be sharing 5 insights that will help you to decide. First question that I want you to ask yourself is, what is your lifestyle? And your business model should support your lifestyle and the energy level, because a mismatch can lead to burnout and resentment. Custom orders are on demand, while ready made orders are batched. And the reason why I bring this up is because when I just started my handmade business, I was in a season of being a student. I went to university and I wanted a way that I could, make some extra cash. So all I was doing was focusing on my studies. So I had lots of time and I was very energetic because I was young. In comparison to now, I mean, I'm still young, but I am not as young. And my energy level, I feel like, is not as high. And in addition to that, I am now a mom. So that means I have a lot more responsibilities that I have to be dealing with. And so the model that I started with, which was a custom order model, just doesn't work for me anymore. And so this is something that you need to consider when you are starting a handmade business, or if you're in a handmade business right now and you're trying to figure out what model is best for you. If you have a lot of time to spare, then that could work out with a custom order model. But if you don't have a lot of time to spare, then it would make sense to go for a ready-made inventory kind of model, because a ready-made inventory kind of model means that you can do your work in batches ahead of time and then you release when you are ready. In comparison to custom orders having a deadline and requiring a lot more of your energy. So here it says, what season of life are you in? If you're in a season of life where, let's say, you're older, you're a parent, you don't have a lot of free time, or you do have a lot of free time, this is going to inform the decision that you make as to whether or not you should have a custom made or a handmade business. Okay. And then another thing to question, what's your energy level like? Are you high energy? Are you able to work for long hours? Or are you the type of person who just likes to go slow? Maybe you can't do long hours. Maybe you would much rather to just relax and take it easy. These are things to consider, because if you prefer to just relax and take it easy, it's better for you to go for a more low effort business model or even a service instead of a product, because products require a lot of energy. I'm going to go back to the last slide and show you guys the bags that I make. These bags right here are very labor intensive. They take hours in comparison to possibly a jewelry making business or a candle making business or even a soap making business that you are able to create lots of units in just one single function or in one sitting. As it relates to me, I am able to create one bag at a time in a certain number of hours. And even if I'm working on multiple bags at a time, it's going to take me more time for them to be done. So this is something that you really want to consider when you are thinking about what business model you are going to be taking on. But here's question number 2. What kind of cash flow do you want? Because each model brings in cash differently. With custom orders, cash comes in before the work is done, which can be good for starting up. But you get instant gratification, and that instant gratification can cause you to get complacent. So you have to be super disciplined, right? And I'm going to talk for a bit about what my experience was like when I started my business. I was very high energy and I was enthusiastic and stuff, and it was easy for me to just fulfill my orders with little time to spare because I had lots of time on my hands. I mean, despite the fact that I was dealing with things like, my studies, studying for exams and doing like assignments and those kind of things, I still had a lot more time to spare in comparison to what I do now. But what happened over time is that because I got that instant gratification of being paid up front, sometimes it felt like doing the work for free when it was time to actually do the work, because I had quite a lengthy turnaround time, given that I make the things to order. And when there are lots of custom orders stacked on top of each other, it can really lengthen that time that a customer is waiting. So, that's something you want to think about. But I'm going to get more in detail with that further down in the video. But just consider the fact that a custom made business means that you will most likely get your money up front, especially if you do like 50% deposits, or if you collect the entire 100% payment before you even start a project. That right there is going to make it so that you can have money right away. But at the same time, that can make you get really complacent. So you have to be disciplined as it relates to that. So let's go back to the slide. The money from ready-made inventory comes after the things are made, but at least you get one big money and the work will already be done, so gratification is delayed. And it's really important that I mention this, because when you are building an inventory and you put it out there for sale, the money that you get from the people who choose to buy your things is going to be, instead of it being fragmented, like 50% when something is started and then 50% when it's done, which is the case with custom orders, you just get all of that at once. So that means that you can see your profits a lot easier because your money isn't broken into two pieces. Instead, you're getting all of it at once, and then you're able to, save, put some away, and reinvest into the business and that kind of stuff. In addition to that, when you get all of that money at once, you're able to reinvest it into the business, and somehow you can end up feeling like the work is rewarded because the gratification is delayed. So instead of it being a case where you're getting the money before you've done the work, you're getting it now after you've done the work. So you do the work, you do the hard part, you have the discipline, you do what you need to do, you show up and you make the thing that you need to make, and then you go and sell it. And when you go and sell it and you get the payment for it, it feels like a nice reward. So it's really hard to get complacent here, because if you don't make the product, you aren't able to sell it. And if you aren't able to sell it, then you can't make money. So if you know that you struggle with discipline and fulfilling orders, fulfilling things, meeting deadlines, then a ready-made inventory might be the best option for you. Question number 3. How much does creative freedom matter to you? Because with ready-made inventory, you're making what you want to sell. which gives you creative freedom and you get to take your time. You can be done when you feel like it. But with custom orders, you are making and selling what they want, even if you don't like making it. And on top of that, there's a deadline involved. Sometimes multiple deadlines can be really overwhelming. And this is something that I wish I knew before I started my handmade business, because if I knew that it would be a case where I wouldn't get the chance to make the things that I want to be making, I would probably just start with a ready-made inventory instead, because I found myself just making things that my customers wanted, and it was just like back to back to back to back stuff that they want. And even though there's stuff I introduced at first, and then they decided, hey, I want this, but I want it with this color, I want it with that pattern, I want it to be this shape, I want it to be this big. All of that new information being processed or having to, go into the creative process, it puts a pause into things. But then when I'm making things, when I'm making an inventory and it's ready made and I'm just putting it out there for you to buy, it's different, because then I decided what it is that I wanted to make and what I wanted to put out there. And therefore, I get to fall in love with it. So I can just make a bunch of blue bags if I feel like it. I can make a bunch of yellow bags and a bunch of red bags and a bunch of green bags. And then I put that out there. But then the time that I would be spending working on a custom order, and let's say making something red and green for somebody or something yellow and white for somebody else, because that's what they want, it stops the kind of progress that I would like to have. Because then if I should post that item, it's not necessarily going to be something that the masses or a large group of people are going to be interested in, because it's a custom order. So chances are the person who ordered it, I mean, not chances are, but the person who ordered it, they know that that's exactly what it is that they want. But that doesn't mean that other people are going to want the same thing. By the way, let me stop to take a moment to big up the people who are tuning in. Greetings, Andre. Greetings, Julia. I'm so happy that you're here. And you guys are such amazing creatives. I'm happy to have you in this space. So let's go. If you are just tuning in, we are talking about custom made versus ready-made orders. So if you're a handmade business and you've been trying to decide between those two things, this video is going to be very helpful. Don't worry, I'm going to be posting the replay of this video afterwards. So if you missed anything, you'll be able to just go back and check it out. So yeah, what I was saying is, right, when you are working on things that you want to be working on, you can end up feeling a lot more fulfilled as well. It's going to feel like, wow, I'm putting what I want to put out there, and I'm not just doing what they want me to do. At this point, you actually become a true creative entrepreneur, and you're not just a freelancer. If you're just taking orders from people and you're doing what they want you to do, you're pretty much a freelance creative. But then when you decide, these are the items I'm going to create, this is what I'm going to put out there in the market, this is what they will buy, that gives you the creative freedom to do what you want to do with it. With custom orders, there are things like, putting people's names onto bags or whatever product. Extrapolate this to whatever product it is that you sell. So I know that Andre sells crystal jewelry, and then I know that Julia does some beautiful journals. So let's relate it to those, right? Let's say, for example, you get an order for a ring like this. This ring is from my friend Earth Angel Heels, by the way. She's so amazing, very good at what she does. And I'm also wearing necklaces by her as well. So let's say, for example, you get an order for a necklace or a ring, and somebody says, hey, I want this to be made with black tourmaline, or I want this to be made with amethyst or pyrite, and I want you to use copper wire. I mean, it's all good and well, because that business model is probably less time consuming than a bag making business model. A bag like this over here takes me about 3 to 4 hours. Yeah. So it might take a lot less time to make a necklace, but let's say, for example, you wanted to come out with an amethyst line, or you wanted to come out with a pyrite line or a smoky quartz line. You could spend, let's say, 2 weeks working on products within that category, right? So you could make a bunch of necklaces, a bunch of rings, a bunch of bracelets, whatever type of jewelry it is that you like to make with these crystals. You could go ahead and make as many of those as you want. And then you could do a photo shoot, and then you could post, you could put them on your website, you could promote it and get people to buy them. But if you're just doing like bits and pieces of different things that people want, you're doing like one smoky quartz here, one black tourmaline here, one pyrite here, you can't really create a line with all of that because that's all over the place. And it is definitely possible that, let's say, for example, this amethyst ring, it is possible that someone could want to buy this and be interested in it, just like I'm interested in it. But it's also very possible that maybe they want something, let's say, because I know that crystals come in different shapes and different sizes. So they might not necessarily be able to get this exact one. But if you ahead of time are able to plan and say, okay, I'm going to get 10 pieces of amethyst that are this same size and then make 10 rings out of it, you're able to just sell a lot faster. Because then if you do a custom order and you're focusing on just one thing at a time, if you post something and somebody says, I like this, and you don't have more of those made, now this person has to wait. And even though some people are okay with waiting, let's be honest, we're in a fast culture now where people want things really quickly. So if you're not able to do it fast enough, some people will get impatient and some people will even call you unprofessional because you're not working fast enough. But what a lot of people don't realize, what a lot of consumers don't realize, is that you can't rush the creative process, because creativity is something that comes from your heart. Creativity is something that you have to flow in. So when you have to rush, it starts to feel pressured. It starts to feel like a hobby, like a chore. And when you have to feel that way, you're going to start resenting your craft. And that's what leads to burnout. But when you're doing your thing and you're going as slowly as you want, you're going at the speed you want, you're doing what you want to be doing, you can feel a lot more fulfilled. You can feel a lot more like, wow, I'm getting to do what I want to do. And that's what it's all about. That's what creating a business from your craft is all about, to be able to do what you want to do and to be able to do what you love. Yeah, so Julia is saying create custom orders can be draining. That's absolutely true. And I've been there before. And I love making things for my customers, but it was so important for me to switch my business model because custom orders were leading to me being burnt out all the time, all the time. But now that I'm doing ready made, I can take a month to create a batch of products. And that batch of products is going to be so well done, or are going to be so well done. They're going to be to my liking. They're going to have so much more positive energy imbued into them because I was doing it while I was calm and feeling amazing. And that just matters so much when you're creating. When you're creating from a place of just rush and hustle and all of that stuff, I feel like that energy goes into the things that you are making. See, now I don't know how to pronounce his name right here, but this person is saying custom orders can be draining and I find it hard to commit to something I don't like. Example, color, especially if it doesn't work with the collection. That right there is a good point, because I found myself in a position where I was buying colors of fabric that nobody else in the future would ever want to have a bag made with. And it was a waste. It was a waste of money for me, because then I would end up with all this fabric that I will never use because I don't like it. My other customers don't like it. It's just this one customer that likes it. And I end up having to find some other project to make with it. And my stash becomes so big and filled with unwanted things. But when I'm doing ready made, oh, Zion, greetings, Zion. Thanks for the pronunciation of your name right there. But when I'm able to create what I want to create, I buy exactly the colors of fabric that I want to buy, the supplies I want to buy, the notions I want to buy, and I end up using all of them simply because I actually wanted them in the first place. And this can help a lot with overconsumption in the craft space, because you know that overconsumption is a real thing even in the craft space. It's not just with lifestyle and shopping and that kind of thing. Like, you really do have to be careful how many things you're buying, because after a while you're going to realize that you have so many things that you don't necessarily need, or you was just using it for one thing. Okay, so that's something to think about. But let's go back to the slide. Have to make sure I'm staying hydrated. Question number 4. How big do you want your business to grow? This is a really important question to ask, and I feel like a lot of creatives don't ask it because you're starting your business probably just because you love it. You know, you're doing it as a hobby and you just decide that you're going to turn it into a business, and through turning it into a business, you don't think far enough as to where it is that you really want it to go. You don't think about, is this something that I want to scale? Is it something that I just want to do as a hobby? Do I want to keep it small? And it's completely okay to want to keep your business small. You might think that it's the natural thing for you to do is to just make a big corporation out of your business and to start mass producing and to ship all over the world. But it's so completely okay to decide that you want your business to stay within this container of serving, let's say, just your community or just X amount of units per month. And when you are able to decide on this, you actually prevent yourself from being in a position where you're chasing something that you don't even want. I remember being in positions before where people would say, I can't wait for your business to have a factory and you're shipping all over the world and it's like really big stuff, amazing stuff going on and mass produce and all of that stuff. And I would find myself just being like, that sounds nice, but also I don't really know if that's what I want. But then I find myself going along with that because I think that's what I'm supposed to want. Because you look at other people with their businesses and they're going big, and you hear about autobiographies of people who, or biographies I should say. Well, they're the same thing. One is just written by themselves and then one is written by somebody else. But you hear of stories, success stories of businesses where they just started out in their kitchen baking bread, and then all of a sudden they have, well, not all of a sudden, but they have a big factory now, and they have franchises and places all over the country, all over the world. And then you're just like, that's where my business needs to go, right? Because that's what you do as a business owner, right? Duh. But no, that's not the case. That's not the case. You can decide that you want to keep your business small. In fact, you can change your business model altogether and decide that instead of selling products, now you want to teach people how to make those products. Because product creation is very time consuming, energy consuming, and the worst thing you want is to start hating your creative work. The worst thing you want is to start hating your hobby. That's just not good, because then this thing that used to bring you joy now puts you in a position where you're just like, I don't like this anymore. And it happens all the time because you start blurring the lines and you don't realize why you started in the first place. You don't realize that you just started it to share your art with a subset of people, not necessarily to become a big corporation. It's okay to not want to be a big corporation. And I must also say that as it relates to, manifesting greatness in your life, if it's a case where you want to become rich, you want to become a millionaire, and you want to do it through your business, and you're completely okay with mass producing and becoming a big company, that's completely fine too. It's just very important that you know exactly why you start something and why you're continuing to go. It's important that you know that, okay, this is where I'm headed, so let me go in that direction. So that means, say, anything that comes on your path that is not in alignment with that direction that you're trying to go in, you just do a 360 and go the other way, or you choose a completely different direction, or you just avoid that because it's a distraction. Or if you realize that something is in alignment with the goal that you want, then you just take that road. You see what I'm saying? But if you don't remember why you started, you can easily lose focus. So Julia is saying, I've realized I don't want a big team or work with a lot of others. I don't desire to scale in that way. And it's completely okay, Julia. It's okay. And you don't have to feel away. You don't have to feel like, oh, you're unmotivated or you're less than somebody else who decides, say, that's what they want. It's completely up to you because you have freedom of choice and this is your hobby. And that's why I always tell people, be careful when you're turning your hobby into a business, because sometimes when you turn your hobby into a business, you actually find that you have to be doing all these other aspects of it that you weren't passionate about to begin with. So I'm passionate about making bags, but I'm not necessarily passionate about, let's say, shipping the bags or customer service. Like, I'm an introvert, so customer service is a part that, even though I've been doing this for over 11 years or over 10 years, I still struggle with that part because I'm very much an introvert. I will ignore my phone for hours. And then when I do go on it, I'm so focused that I'm just trying to do exactly what I go on there on. So I have to create systems to make sure that I'm able to stay on top of my customer service. It doesn't come naturally to me. Meanwhile, there are a lot of other people who, to them, customer service is a breeze because they're very social. They're always on their phone and it's easy for them to just respond back and, be on top of emails and that kind of stuff, even though you can delegate that kind of thing and maybe even automate them. But it's important to know what your type of personality is and what it is that you're passionate about, because business comes with a lot more than just creating the products that you're selling. Content. I'm content making enough for me and having my time to do other things like spend time outside, save a little, and travel. See that right there? That right there is golden, because you have to define what it means to be rich. That's rich right there. Being rich, having a lot of money and living in an expensive house and driving an expensive car is not rich to everybody. For some people, being rich is being able to sit underneath a tree on a nice, cool, sunny day and sip some lemonade and just color in a book. That's what rich is for some people. And it's important that you define that, because the moment that you define that for yourself, you will stop chasing things that are not in alignment with that. So if you find yourself starting to hustle, hustle, hustle because, oh, I want to do all of this and I want to do all of that. When you get down that road and you're on that road and you can't turn back, or it's harder to turn back, you're going to realize, wow, I completely lost focus of what the mission was. The mission was just to have time for myself. The mission was just to be able to spend time with my family. The mission was to be able to enjoy life and have freedom to just pick up myself on a Tuesday morning and just go to another parish or another state. You see what I'm saying? You have to stay focused and know why you start something and keep that in the front of your mind. And that's why I love journaling so much, because when you journal, you're able to write things down. And when you look back at your journal, you're able to remember what you wrote down and why you wrote it down. Let's go back to the slide. With ready-made inventory, scaling is simpler because you can delegate and batch tasks because things are similar. You can create systems, you can sell wholesale, and you can do pop-up shops. If you are just doing